Hi guys! I recently got a really good idea from some of you guys to make a speed paint of this Meet the Artist meme. And since I got a lot of art related questions on my Q&A, I've been wanting to give my take on this particular question for a while. I hope you'll enjoy this. Let me know if you'd want to add or remove some things off this list. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and I always want to learn more. My first tip would be to analyze other artists that you like. Do you have any specific artists that you look up to? Surely you must have some favorite artists out there. Look through their portfolio or work and maybe ask yourself, what makes this art good? Is it the flow of the lines, the composition, or maybe the rendering? Even better would be if they had speed paints that you could watch to get an idea of how they work. I make sure to regularly do this as it was something that I learned not too long ago. Before that, I never really thought too much about it. I'd be like, yeah, that art is cool, and then just scroll past it. It wasn't until a few years ago when I first came across this tip and tried it. And let me tell you, it really gave results almost immediately. This is particularly good if you're uninspired to draw at the moment. Maybe you don't have time or for some other reasons can't do art. It will help you to get better without practicing the craft physically. My second tip is to make art studies. Something that I used to do a lot when I was in my early teens was that I would copy other people's artwork. I would trace it over and over again to slowly absorb little bits and pieces of other styles to merge it with my own. I never showed those pictures to anyone, except for a few people where I of course made it very clear to my audience that it was only a study, and of course referring back to the original artist. This is actually a really great way to develop muscle memory. After tracing a few artworks a couple of times, bring out a new blank paper and either draw one of the pictures from memory or something completely original. I can promise you that you'll learn something, and that in time you will definitely see results. My tip number 3 would be to draw a lot. This is my best tip, honestly, because that is essentially what will eventually create your style and mend your skills overall. If you don't have any ideas for art, look up some challenges online and maybe write them down to use them whenever you're out of ideas, and then write it down to use it whenever you're out of ideas, to always make sure that you have a reason to draw. You could, for example, draw what's in your bag, cover an entire page of your sketchbook in all your favorite foods, create a new species using 2 of your favorite animals, and so on. You can get a lot of ideas online if you just look it up. Don't pressure yourself too much either. 10 very quick sketches is sometimes better than one fully colored and rendered artwork when it comes down to it. My tip number 4 is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I know that I personally am very sensitive about making mistakes. But honestly, mistakes are a huge source of your development. Say you made a picture, you don't like it, you could just ask yourself, why don't you like it? Take the chance to analyze your work. Is it the composition? Is the anatomy off? Maybe the color palette doesn't work well together. Chances are also that your analyzing skills has developed faster than your practical skills, which, when you think about it, isn't in fact a bad thing. And of course, the other way around can happen too. You can draw something which you are proud of. You could even be surprised at how you managed to do it. That is a sign that your muscle memory and practical skills have developed faster than your analyzing skills. Tip number 5, find your niche. To quote Marie Kondo, what brings you joy? What art media are you mostly drawn to? It could be watercolors, acrylics, gouache, digital, or maybe ink. Find your preferred media and work with it. It's of course good to challenge yourself to do a high variety of things, but don't underestimate your preferences and don't neglect the things that you're naturally drawn to. This is something that I've heard from my own art mentors and people that I look up to. I, for one, love creature design, fantasy animals, and whimsical, childish subjects. I've been trying to desperately branch out as much as possible, which, in a way, deprived me of doing the things that I enjoyed the most. all because I was too eager to improve. So I want to remind you that it's good to master a lot of skills, but to also remember to nurture the niche that brings you the most joy, because that is what will truly have your art style flourish. My last tip is to keep it authentic. Remember, even though you might do studies of different art styles, anatomy and whatnot, your style is what makes your art yours. It's good to be able to analyze and pick up certain tricks and quirks from other artists, but don't lose that sense of personality of your art. Most people's goals with their art is that people will see it and immediately think of you. In conclusion, I want to remind you to be patient and relaxed about it. Art is a fun way to let out some creative energy. You don't want to lose that very essential part of what made you enjoy art to begin with. Too much pressure could make you see it more as a chore than a creative outlet. Find what you love and let it guide you. And I promise you that you'll see results in time. I loved making this piece because I've been wanting to make a meet the artist for a long time now. As you can see, I've used a lot of pink, which is my favorite color. It was way harder than I thought to pick out things to put on my like or dislike list. Turns out I'm a lover and hater of many things. Not very surprising either. Anyway, the original time of this drawing is about 2.5 hours and I'm pretty happy with the result. I always tend to rush things at the end, which tends to lower the quality of the details a little. I'm always too eager to finish a painting, I guess. Let me know if this was helpful to you and if you have other things you'd like to add to the list. These things are a lifelong process, and I'd love some tips for myself as well. Also, if you have another art-related subject you'd like me to give my input on, don't hesitate to let me know. I'd love to help out other artists because I think it's a very essential part of the art journey, to trade tips and tricks. Also, if you have any ideas or things you'd like me to make a speed paint of in the future, I'd love to hear all of your ideas and thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you don't already do, and I'll see you in my next video.